Greetings, church family. I want to take some time to speak to you about the option of in-person worship gatherings beginning on Sunday, July the 5th. After almost 4 months of closure, what a welcomed blessing it is to start the conversation about opening our church doors once again. Now, let me start by saying that the leadership of our congregation is well aware that the risk of COVID-19 is far from over. When all of this started, many of us thought that we would just isolate for a while, let the virus dissipate, and then return to our normal lives. Unfortunately, COVID-19 is a virus, which means it's not going away anytime soon. We must learn how to live and worship together in the midst of this pandemic. Even though we will be offering the option of in-person gatherings, worship is going to look and feel very different. The purpose of this video is to walk you through all of the strict safety protocols we must implement. My hope is that this video will cut down on the shock factor and help you better understand why we have made these changes. Along the way, I'll show you some pictures to help you better grasp the changes we have made. First, face masks. If you choose to worship in person, we highly recommend you wear a face mask. We wear face masks not out of fear, but to protect others in the worship space. Many studies have proven that when everyone is in an enclosed room and they wear masks, the rate of people contracting COVID-19 is very low. Sometimes loving your neighbor is as simple as wearing a mask. Even though I personally dislike wearing a face mask, out of my love for you, when I am out among you in the congregation, I will wear a mask. When I am leading worship on the altar platform, more than a safe distance away, I will remove my mask so that my voice is not muffled and you can actually understand what I am saying as I lead you in worship. It should go without saying, but if you have recently been exposed to someone with COVID-19, or you simply aren't feeling well for any reason, please stay at home. Don't spread sickness to others. You are encouraged to tune in from home through our Facebook Live feed. So let's walk together through what you will experience when you arrive at church beginning in July. First, we ask that you not arrive before 10:15 a.m., no more than 15 minutes before the service starts. Arriving earlier will just tempt you to congregate with others, breaking physical distancing protocols. When you arrive, you will notice that the outside doors leading into the church will be propped open. This will keep everyone from having to touch the door handle as you enter. Know that as you enter the sanctuary space, a group of volunteers has just finished sanitizing all of the high-touch surfaces for your safety. Surely, the hardest of all the new safety protocols will be this. We will be required to refrain from handshakes and hugs or any other kind of physical contact. Now, I know our church family, and you are already making me nervous. We must constantly be mindful of no contact. Old habits are hard to break. Anytime you are here at church, we need to keep at least 6 feet apart from any other family. Visit, yes, laugh and celebrate, indeed. Encourage and pray with those experiencing tough times, yes, but do so without any form of physical contact. You are asked to greet others with smiles and waves instead of handshakes and hugs. If someone instinctively extends their hand out for a handshake, or someone comes at you with that "I missed you" hug, simply politely remind them that such a move is not safe right now. To help you remember all of the safety protocols, there will be signs posted when you walk into the church. It would be wise for you to glance at all of these signs every Sunday when you arrive as a mental reminder. Bottles of hand sanitizer will be available on the tables when you walk in. We ask that everyone massage sanitizer into their hands before entering the sanctuary. The fellowship hall will be blocked off to remove the temptation to congregate with others in that space. My apologies, but we will be serving no coffee or refreshments during this time. When you arrive, you are kindly asked to use the hand sanitizer and then promptly find a seat within the sanctuary. No bulletins will be printed, eliminating yet another point of contact between ushers and participants. Congregational parts, when they are needed, will be shown on our sanctuary screens. The order of service we will follow during this time will be the shortened format that we have been using for our online services these past 3 months. Research shows that the longer we spend with others in enclosed spaces, the greater our chance for contracting sickness from others. So we will strive to keep the length of our service short, hopefully to around 30 minutes. When you enter the sanctuary, you will notice the biggest change. Our pew chairs have been rearranged into long angled rows with a large safe distance between each row. Long rows provide the most flexibility for various families to physical distance in the same row. Notice there is no longer a center aisle. Here's another angle to help you get a feel for what the new layout is going to be like. We are required to keep at least 2 chairs between your household and other individuals or families. The more room you leave between families, the better. As time goes on and more people begin to attend, be willing to shuffle seats as needed to accommodate the safest seating configurations. To practice social distancing on the altar platform, only 2 worship leaders will serve each week, myself and an assistant. The 2 of us will cover all of the various duties, presider, acolyte, lector, etc. Limiting worship leaders each week is yet another safety protocol. Here's another safeguard you're not going to like. Recent studies have shown that congregational singing transmits saliva 3 to 4 times farther than simply talking. It's akin to coughing. I quote from the study: "Singing, to a greater degree than talking, aerosolizes respiratory droplets extraordinarily well. Deep breathing in while singing forces respiratory droplets in the air deep into the lungs." Here's a picture of someone singing, standing in front of a bright, sunny window. My apologies if this image makes you never want to sing around other people ever again. But by this picture, we recognize that it's simply not safe for the entire congregation to sing together right now, even with masks. The fact that music plays such an essential part in our Lutheran liturgy makes this the saddest safeguard for me. Although we can't all sing together, thankfully, we can still have music. I am envisioning creative, safe ways that music can still be an integral part of our worship experience. And of course, Barbara Case will continue to bless us with her incredible talent at the piano and organ. Another part of the service, the beloved passing of the peace, will be suspended in that by its very nature it violates physical distancing protocols. For the very same reason, I will no longer stand at the back of the church following each worship service for a receiving line. I am always available for private conversation through phone calls or texts, or by making an appointment with me to meet in person. Also, due to cross-contamination issues due to finger dipping, no water will be placed within the baptismal font. The font will remain empty at the front of the sanctuary. I pray that simply seeing the lit Christ candle and baptismal bowl will remind you of your baptism as you gather. Offering plates, yet another item that was passed person to person in the past. Offering plates will not be used. Instead, a newly installed offering box can be found on the back wall of the sanctuary. Please place your offering in this lock box when you gather for worship. I give thanks for your continued generosity to the ministry of our congregation. Another welcome safety feature we have put in place is the installation of a UV light air purification system within our AC ducts in the sanctuary and fellowship hall. The air circulating within our system is now being continually purified. UV light has been proven to effectively kill viruses like corona and flu, along with allergens, mold, and bacteria within the air. This UV light system is the same kind of high-powered filtration system that hospitals use. The air within the church is now safer than it ever has been before. Hearing all of these other precautions has probably caused you to assume that Holy Communion will also be suspended due to the person-to-person contact. Thankfully, there is a safe solution, one that doesn't involve human contact. Holy Communion will be offered each week through a no-touch, self-serve method. We have placed 2 small tables at the front of the sanctuary. On both of those tables, a trained altar care person will scatter communion cups filled with either purple wine or white grape juice. And then on top of each glass, a communion wafer will be placed. The wafer sits perfectly on top of the glass. Receiving communion will take place one family at a time, yet another distancing safeguard. When the usher signals that it is your family's turn, you are invited to come forward, remove your mask, and pick up your desired cup. Grab the wafer from the top of the cup with your index finger, and then consume the bread. Then drink the wine or the juice. Once you are finished, you will toss your empty cup into the wicker basket found on the right of each table. Any communion elements that are not consumed during the sermon or during the service will be tossed and not reused. For those who desire gluten-free wafers, those will also be available on the right side of each table. You simply need to ask a worship leader if you need assistance. If you choose to continue at-home worship, I highly, highly encourage you to celebrate Holy Communion within your own home at the same time your brothers and sisters are celebrating the sacrament within the sanctuary. Doing so will unite all of us in spirit. If you have kids who aren't yet communing, a blessing will be given to them by a worship leader. But since the worship leader is not allowed to touch the head of your kid as before, as the blessing is given, you, as the guardian, are invited to touch either the head or the shoulder of your child, ensuring the child knows that that blessing being said is specifically for them. Once you or your family has received communion, this will be the end of the service for you. After communion, you are asked not to go sit back down, but to depart the sanctuary in peace. Doing so will ensure that not everyone will leave at the same time, alleviating the people jams that might form at the exits. If you wish to stay and visit with others, you are asked to do so outside, either in the shade on the walkway between the church and education building, or out in the parking lot. Visiting in the outside air and sunshine is safer than congregating inside. If you choose to stay and visit, please stand at least 6 feet apart while keeping your mask on. If by chance you need to use the restroom while you are here, they will be available and recently sanitized before the service. But because our restrooms are so small, we ask that you only have 2 people enter at a time. Others can wait their turn in the narthex area, 6 feet apart. Worshiping will be the only gathering our congregation will offer at this time. Educational opportunities like adult Sunday school or children's church will not be offered. Caregivers of younger children are encouraged to pack a bag with items to keep kids occupied during worship. Also, please talk to your kids about all of these changes before coming to church to help them understand and comply. All of these changes, especially people wearing face masks, might be scary for your child. A few final notes. We still need some volunteers, 2 or 3 people each week, to come early and stay a little late, to wipe down and sanitize high-touch surfaces like light switches, doorknobs, and faucets. This is a requirement of the CDC for us to gather. If you would be willing to serve on that team, our church would be in your debt. Please let the church office know of your willingness. Our hired cleaning team will do all of the deep cleaning. This team will simply wipe down high-touch surfaces. As we begin to offer the option of in-person worship gatherings on July 5th, each person or family should personally weigh for themselves the risk of attending in person. Our county's day-to-day coronavirus cases count is unique in that both of the recent spikes involve specific places, food processing plants and the county prison. Overall, our daily case count has remained relatively low and manageable over the past month. Currently, our county represents only 0.5% of the entire COVID-19 cases within the state of Texas. Your council members continue to monitor the latest health data. Even with all of these safety protocols we have in place, if you still feel leery attending in person, or maybe your doctor has told you that it is not safe due to your personal health issues, know that beginning in July, our worship services will once again be broadcast live at 10:30 a.m. on Facebook, rather than pre-recorded and then posted to YouTube. Members who choose to continue to isolate at home will experience the same service as in-person worship attendees. The service will continue to be produced and then downloaded to our YouTube site, but it will not be downloaded until later in the week. Lutheran churches in our conference who have reopened are experiencing low numbers of in-person attendees. This is what I am expecting for our congregation as well. Truthfully, low numbers at first will allow us to better follow the distancing protocols within our sanctuary. It will also allow us to try out these new safeguards, discovering what needs to be tweaked. You might be asking, how long will these strict distancing protocols last? Well, we need to plan on them continuing throughout the summer months. Past that, it all depends on what the fall brings in COVID-19 case counts in our area. Expect your caring church leadership team to be overly cautious for safety's sake. Wow, now I know I just threw a lot of information at you at one time. You probably felt like you were having to drink from a fire hydrant. This is what I recommend. I recommend you rewatching this video a couple of times during the week so that you can fully grasp all of these safeguards that we are implementing. It's going to take all of us working together, honoring each of these protocols in order to keep everyone healthy and safe. After not seeing your church friends for close to 4 months, your natural response is going to be to go in for that hug. Simply because you and someone else agreed to that hug does not make it safe or smart. Please be considerate of these prescribed practices for the well-being of all of your sisters and brothers in Christ who choose to gather. Over these past 4 months, something I have come to know is this. Each week, when the small group of worship leaders gathered at the church to pre-record the worship service, even though there were no handshakes or hugs shared among the group, just being in the presence of some of our church family was both uplifting and healing. It kept me going. Gathering at a safe distance allowed us to celebrate the gift of one another, to support those having an especially tough week, and to proclaim together the goodness of God in the midst of this trying situation. Even with all of those changes and restrictions that we had to abide by, we realized that it was still worth it. My prayer is that God will give you wisdom to make the right choice for you and your family, and to find peace with that decision. Whatever you decide, know that I am here for you. I am always just a text message or phone call away. Know that you are deeply loved and missed. I can't wait for all of this to be over so that we can enjoy hugs and handshakes and potluck meals once again. Know that this too shall pass. If you haven't already, it would help us tremendously if you would contact the church office either by email or phone to let us know if you will be attending worship in person or continuing to worship online from home. Letting us know your choice will help us better plan for our comeback Sunday on July the 5th. If you would like to discuss your thoughts or concerns about our first Sunday back, please do not hesitate to contact me. I welcome that conversation. May God bless and keep each of us in this time of sickness and uncertainty. May we experience God's presence and goodness in the midst of these days of isolation and uncertainty. May God's peace be with us all.